Hello, it's Rhea. Wherever you are and whatever time it is, I hope you are enjoying yourself. So today we have a little bit of a special bonus video. Well, maybe actually. It depends on whenever I decide to post this. Coming off the end of October here. But on the journey to completing my long-going sketchbook, there's been a page sketched for quite some time that I kept putting off, and I really wanted to make a video about it. And that page is an Undertale spread. So I'm going to be drawing the beloved characters from this very popular game. Unfortunately, I couldn't fit everybody on here that I wanted to, and it's kind of janky, but I also wanted to highlight a special medium for this video too, so I was kind of like, okay, we can finally use acrylic gouache. Like, that was in my head this entire time whenever I would think about this video, but to be honest, don't get your hopes up because I tried to use them, but I am very noob, so it goes very chaotically, and as much as I'd like to say we'll cross that bridge whenever we get there on me explaining it, I think even like currently what you're seeing of me setting up the sketches with frixion pen was kind of like shooting myself in the foot. So if you're wondering like, hey, you just said you were gonna paint this, why did you go over the sketch that you already had with ink pen? I mean, frixion you can erase with, but still, I don't know either. You know, it's just peak clownery. Also, quick disclaimer, if you hear like this weird creaking in the back, it's probably like my windows since there's kind of like a mini windstorm going on right now, so sorry if you can hear that. It shouldn't be too loud, but if you're listening on like full volume, you might be able to hear that and everything else chaotically. I don't typically listen to videos with like full volume. Do y'all? Cause like, I don't know, that just seems really intense and chaotic, and like typically I have music playing in the background anyways. I'm getting so sidetracked. Anyways, back to me doing this outline in pen. Honestly, I feel like I keep forgetting what's the best approach for what type of outline to do before using different mediums like gouache, watercolor, and markers. Like, it changes for each one, honestly. But pen was most definitely not the best choice for this, I feel like, because it ends up smearing anyway, so it's like, why? I already did it in like the red palette color, you know, so I digress. But I feel like I mostly wanted to keep some of the lines down to tell where to put things, because that's typically my thing of like, I worry about that a lot. But if you're painting, it's best to just let that fear of things disappearing go, so that way you can focus more on like the shapes of what you remember. In worst case scenario, I could have just taken a picture first too. Outlining may have also been a form of stalling since I knew I was nervous to work on this page. But while we're still doing this time-lapse quick sketch time, let me just explain how this is gonna go. So first I'm gonna talk about like the process and stuff, and depending on the time, like I'll yap about the game and all the fun silly stuff. But most of this will also be some form of sped up on terms of like content, which I mean you can already tell the footage is sped up, but similar to the alcohol marker video that I did of Encore, I'm still kind of like awkward and figuring things out, so there's no aesthetic or super cool mega awakening artist technique that I do, so we'll keep the content length digestible, and hopefully you can still get the gist of how I painted and like brought this spread together. So overall, I start out with showing in my little mini palette a few kind of dots of paint, guesstimating what colors I may need and how much of each color. I will go ahead and immediately say one problem I have is mixing too little because I'm stingy and I don't want to pour out too much. And I got this Holbein pastel set of colors and a lot of my other individual Holbein acrylic gouache tubes overseas. And so it was for like a much cheaper price, but that said, they're still precious paints to me. So I do feel that typical artist hesitance of using them too much before I really know what I'm doing. And yeah, I think another major factor that played into the spread and these paints is I'm combining too many unknown territories. One, I've probably used acrylic gouache 5 times max before working on the spread, and none of it has been like an actual illustration. It's just been simply testing stuff really. So as much as I love traditional art, I rarely ever focus on one medium at a time to like learn and then master it and kind of keep it under my wing consistently. Even getting me to do traditional art with mediums other than pen and pencil once a week can be difficult, so obviously there's like a lot of new ground to figure out with this medium and how to work with it. Two, this is also my first time drawing almost all of these characters. I was really nervous because I adore them obviously, and I adore all the cool fan art that I've seen of them, but of course the game, if you don't know, is in a pixel style, so while there's like sprites and even official art that clarifies important visual traits in each character, the way artists interpret them can definitely range, and like that's not even including personal headcanons and stuff. I really need to work on not overthinking references. I feel like both in literal just studies of people and also on terms of like character fan art, I think like something really magical could really show if I just let go of that fear from diverting from exactly what I see in a character design and just kind of like letting myself stylize things more, or even just attempt it in a poor or funnily executed way, you know? So yeah, looking back, I feel like these two major points definitely put me in a tricky situation to navigate, but problem solving is one of the more important skills to uphold whenever it comes to traditional art, or really just art in general, so luckily I learned to just cut corners and salvage things without weighing too hard on it. I mean, it is just a sketchbook page in the end after all, so even in the beginning, going back and forth between like references and checking and color mixing and trying to get a feel for the paint, it was like a lot going on. And I was also playing like the 10th anniversary stream or like some of the music, so it was just a lot going on. But I feel like it also doesn't help how many of these characters have white in their design. Like, white can definitely be executed well for like coloring, but I don't think I was ready to showcase that with my current knowledge slash awareness of the acrylic gouache. I tried to incorporate the proper shading of warm or cool grays for the white in some of the character designs, but I was getting a little bit flustered and also frustrated at how difficult it was to move and like blend things to my liking. I don't think acrylic gouache is super hard to use, it's just the dry time compared to wanting to blend colors. It was definitely doing me a number. I'd say another struggle was brush control and figuring out the right sizes and rotations to keep on me. Like, I'd prefer if I don't have to use more than 3 to 5 brushes for painting something. I don't know how realistic that is, but I've been meaning to figure that like sweet spot out. I know it's something that's gonna change depending on like certain factors, like how large scale of a painting I'm doing and things like that, but eventually if I could get it down to like that 3 to 5 or even less, that would be great. The reason why I like acrylic gouache, which, sorry if I butcher that word all throughout like this video, it's whoever decided to call it that was not thinking about English pronunciation because, oh my gosh. But the reason why I like it is because it has this really nice ability to get like a flat, vibrant style. Like, it just truly has what its name is because it has the characteristics of acrylic paint and gouache paint. I have used acrylic paints probably the most out of like painting, I'd say, because I used it in high school, I think. But gouache I have not really used often. I probably use it about the same, if not less, than acrylic gouache. I do have a hrmmm gouache set, but that will be another spread for another video. So, but yeah, unlike regular gouache, I feel like for acrylic gouache, once it dries, it's set. Like, it doesn't really reactivate. It also dries fast like acrylic paint. So, and there's many artists that I've seen using them over the past several years, and I've always wanted to give it a try myself. I really like the way that it looks. So, and actually it's funny that I decided to do this, like, I guess an Undertale themed spread. I specifically wanted to do this spread with acrylic gouache because I felt like the, like, characteristics of the paints would go well with the characters in Undertale. I don't know if that makes sense. I know I did an Amori spread like a hot minute ago, like I think the same year the game came out, so that was like almost 5 years ago or something. I don't think the spread came out like looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks so horrible, but people still liked it, but I was like, oh my gosh. But I wanted to do that spread because I wanted to use POSCA pins for that spread, because again, something about like, maybe it's just like, I don't know, pixel like RPGs with their like the poppy colors that they have. Something like some mediums just really speak to me to like illustrate using those specific mediums. I don't know, but while I thought that this would be the time to use acrylic gouache, I would like to ask for a rematch. We shall meet again. This wasn't properly planned with much insight, so yeah, I feel like I just let my impulsive desires get the best of me because I was like, okay, that sounds fun, and the rest is history. So I think it would have made a lot more sense to just choose one character or thing to paint with this medium and practice it on a small to medium scale first, maybe even a limited color palette too, so I can just focus on only a few important things, like getting used to the medium itself. So I'll try that again, maybe on my own first, and then come back with a better video to highlight this medium. So yeah, we will regroup. So that said, I am telling you right now, at some point, actually it's at this point right now, I was like, I can't do it anymore. I decided to get off the struggle bus and use my paint markers. So I have a handful of POSCA and Arrtx paint markers to kind of just help me, and it just felt like a lot more approachable that way. I have to give myself some credit though, because I genuinely did try to use the acrylic gouache paints first. It wasn't until I got through like the first half of the page to where I was like, okay, no, I need to switch it up or this is gonna take forever. Like, if nothing else, I do kind of like how I painted Undine with the acrylic gouache, and I also paint Mettaton off camera with it because it was like specifically whenever I got to him that I was like, okay, this is looking too awful even for me. Like, I love him too much and I can't do this. I need to pause everything and lock in and figure this out. So we come back and he looks a little bit better and I'm happy then. I kind of liked how Muffet was with the acrylic gouache as well, but even then, by the time I was touching everything up with the markers, I figured I might as well retouch her too. Like, something like another issue that I have with the acrylic gouache is trying to figure out the right amount to use to where it's not patchy, but it's not like too thick. I don't know. I wanted to sit on top of the page smoothly and with like a solid application basically. But yeah, some things are done mostly with acrylic gouache and some things are done with mostly or only paint marker, and the rest is kind of like an in-between. I also use pen and pencil to map out the outlines that I do at the end, because no way in hell do I trust myself to do brush line art with paint. Like, I will come back to that concept when I am high caliber. But sometimes I use that one Arrtx double-sided marker in like one of the other packs that I have to do like the outlines, or I think I end up using it for like the facial expressions on Sands and Papyrus. And a few other touch-ups are done with those as well. I do really like being able to use those double-sided markers for stuff like that. It's very clutch because it's like very thin, and the nib, like it's kind of big, but it's also like a little, it's like small enough. So I don't know, it just really worked out for me. But other than that, that is pretty much the gist of the process. It's, again, nothing too special. I end up doing the background. I start to do the background in that gray Arrtx marker, and then I realized how patchy it was going to be, and I was like, let me just go ahead and use the acrylic gouache in a light blue color. And I don't know, I personally like how it looks, and yeah, I couldn't think of like a better color to choose, honestly. I didn't want to do black because that would be too difficult, and I didn't want it to be like a dark purple. I considered it, but I also feel like that might also be a little bit difficult. So yeah, regardless, I feel like it turned out pretty cute, and it's like kind of like nicely applied considering like I do it off camera because I was like, there's no point in me like filming me just coloring in a background of one color. So yeah, but that is pretty much the process. Again, nothing too crazy to share this time around. Hopefully we can expand upon that next time I use acrylic gouache. But it's time to get into the game talk. So upon hearing about Undertale, like, so it's been 10 years since the game was released, and around that time, I think I remember like vaguely hearing about it, but I had never really played it. I feel like out of the two, Amori was definitely more of the one that I kind of knew about beforehand, like before game release, and low-key kept tabs on it. But Undertale, it was actually Dan and Phil's playthrough that made me like know more about the actual game itself, which shout out to them. Especially with like recent news and stuff like that. I actually watched them a lot, but because of that, I didn't play it myself because I saw them play the entire game. I didn't play the game until last year because, yeah, it's like I already saw the playthrough, so I was like, okay, that's pretty much like all I needed to know. Like, why do I have to play it myself if I've already seen a playthrough? Which is another reason why I get a little bit hesitant to watch people's playthroughs unless I've already played the game, because that's such a wrong perspective to have, but at the same time I get why, because for me the element of surprise is so important, and Obviously, I love this game, even with me only playing it like once on my own, and that was in the past year. I wish I played it without knowing everything that I did from their playthrough and just kind of like in general, because there is so much to be said about the natural raw experience and seeing what you'd actually choose on the game, because there's so many different routes that you can choose, and so many actions end up having some kind of consequence. And so I'm really curious, like, honestly, if I ever end up in a state of amnesia, please someone run to me while I'm like bedridden or coming out of a coma, like, okay, the first thing you need to do is play this game. Because I would totally understand after the fact. But yeah, so if you don't know anything about the game or anything like that, but you might be interested in it or playing it, feel free to run away. I can't like guarantee I'll be spoiler free. I will try my best not to say anything like super major or anything like that, but I don't know. Like, no promises basically, because the game's been out for like 10 years. So I'm sure everybody knows everything now, but just in case. Yeah, so I got the game, like I said, I played it last year. I got it for Valentine's Day. I bought it because for my Switch, the only other game that I had was Pokemon Diamond. And so I was like, okay, I need to get like another game. Because I don't console game as much anymore. I would love to, but like timing and stuff like that, it's just really hard. So yes, got it. Valentine's Day, which is funny because that like started a ritual where each year now I feel like on Valentine's Day I have to like get a new game or start playing a new game, because this year it was Love and Deep Space, which is kind of funny. I mean, if you think about it, both that and Undertale do involve dating, but yeah, I didn't finish Undertale until I think around my birthday in August, so yes, so from February to August, I was playing it, and it was just very cozy, very precious. Like, despite knowing the gist of the game still, I felt it was so much more, like, intimate playing it myself, and I was so grateful that I did that. So I just want to say, like, even if you do know the premise of games, it's still worth it playing it yourself, even if you've seen someone else play it, because especially with a game like that where there are so many different routes and there are so many things that you might experience differently from someone, so yeah. But playing it, I cried so much. I love all the characters so much. I love the story. It's one of those things where, despite being so simple, it's so incredible and unique in execution. Like, it really stays with you forever, in my opinion. A good example of this is me playing the game like 9 to 10 years after its release, and everything's just still feeling timeless and experience. And I feel like also regardless of age too, like whether if you are younger, like in grade school, or if you are like older, it's really incredible. So characters as well, I could yap about them all day. I know we don't have enough time for that, so yeah, I think off the top of my head, Undyne and Mettaton are tied very greatly because I truly just love the both of them so much. And then Muffet might be third after those two. I like Girlby too, he's a hottie. But I love all the characters so much. Like, there's just not enough like words to explain how much I care about each of them in their own ways. But I think out of everything too, like, yes, I love the story and the characters and the gaming, but the music, oh my god, I feel like I've had my entire life affected by the music for a hot minute. I don't know what kind of celestial psychedelics Toby Fox laced into his tracks, but I just feel like a genuine form of enlightenment and ascension from knowing the soundtrack. I think off the top of my head, and this is actually impossible to choose, and it's a very basic answer, but my favorites are probably a tie between Hopes and Dreams and Asgore's theme, because of course, but truly, most importantly, is the inspiration. Like, so much can be said about simply having an idea or a dream or a story that you wish to share, and I feel like this game has inspired so many people to create their own stuff because the creator himself simply went for making something that he liked. And sure, it took time and planning and all of that on many things, but considering the lack of resources and probably knowledge as well, like, most people would just hold off on creating something like that. But from a Kickstarter, he released this game and it's changed so many people's lives. Like, I'm assuming there was no huge company or anything, right? Like, it's just some friends a dog, a piano, and a dream, and here we are. So I highly recommend watching the 10th anniversary stream if you haven't seen it already. It's so good. So many things that he says for the commentary is amazing and inspiring. The entire Fangamer team did an amazing job on putting together the stream to begin with, and like raising money for Doctors Without Borders, and just overall really incredible vibes. I feel bad because I feel like other people could say so much more because I'm not really deep into the fandom. I've heard a lot about it, both like positively and negatively, and that's just kind of fandoms in a nutshell, but I haven't really like fell into it or anything. If nothing else, I second Toby in the idea that creating things and just inspiring each other to create is just a very beautiful thing, and the root of it is something that is very positive, and so much is to be said about the fan content made around this franchise. There was one character that I actually have drawn once before, and it was Sans, because it was for an art trade in high school with a classmate that was in my art class. I think that was my first art trade ever, and it was such a precious memory. I really wish I probably could have done him better justice. Maybe I'll post it up here if I'm not shy about it, but otherwise, hey, I think I did a little bit better this time around, hopefully. After all, it's been like 10 years, but hopefully I didn't miss any important traits on the characters. I was struggling with acrylic gouache as well, so apologies for that. But other than that, I had a pretty fun time overall, and I think looking back on this spread, I will do it with a smile. So here's to improving at acrylic gouache, as well as Undertale fan art and breaking the ice on that, so hopefully I'm less nervous doing more fan art in the future. Let me know if you're interested on that, because again, I still have so much more that I could be yapping about in regard to this entire franchise, but I should really let you go. So, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed your time here today, please let me know by leaving a like, and if you're interested to see more of my content, you can always check out my other videos and subscribe. For reference, if you are new, I am Rhea, or Etheria, and I like making art and art-related content on my channel. While I try to post bi-weekly videos, sometimes you get these fun little pop-ups here and there. This is mostly where I post, so if you want more timely updates, maybe check out Instagram or Blue Sky, but you don't have to. But until next time, once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I wish you a nice rest of your day and week. Stay determined. Take care.